Hello and welcome to the 2011 graduation ceremony. I would like to take this time to thank all the faculty, staff, and custodians for putting this ceremony together. I would also like to thank the parents and family members that are in attendance tonight, as well as those that are viewing this online. Today, we are here to celebrate the departure of a very unique class. What makes our class unique, you might ask? Well, there are several things that come to mind. However, the most important one is that we all get along with each other. Most classes will bicker amongst each other, but our class supports one another. We may not always show it, and it may not always be the best in the best of ways, but that is what a family is like. We are a family. Paraphrasing from Megan Guerra, a 2011 graduate of Paoli High School, we've had our ups and downs. We've had our happy, sad, stressful, crazy, insane, and intense moments. We've had our courses set for us, but now it is time to set our own. It's been nice knowing all of you. Sadly, though, it's time to move on. With that being said, I would like to move this on to Mrs. York to present the rest of our ceremony. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight. I bet a lot of you out there have been waiting for this moment for a very long time, and the fact that it's finally here can be a little overwhelming. 13 years we've been in school. 13 years of teachers, 13 years of homework, 13 years of waking up at 7 a.m. to get ready. It's a strange feeling when we have to let go of something that has been in our lives since we were 5. But the end of high school is merely the beginning of the rest of our lives. Metaphorically speaking, this graduation ceremony is the closing sentence of the first chapter in the book that is our life. But even with all the mixed emotions that come with graduating, there's one thing that should not be overlooked. We can't forget how we made it this far. I know that if it wasn't for people like my mom, my grandma, my dad, my friends, and everyone else who's been there to support me, I wouldn't be giving this speech right now. So as I conclude, I'd like to say one last thing. We can't forget about the people who have helped us make it here in the first place. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. When I heard that I was going to have to deliver a speech at graduation, I was a little intimidated and wasn't quite sure what I wanted to give my speech about. So I decided to do what all great researchers do for inspiration: Google it. During my grueling search engine scouring, I came across a quote by Oscar Wilde that really hit home with me and sounded like a good place to start with my speech. Oscar stated that education is an admirable thing, but it is well to remember from time to time that nothing that is quite worth knowing can be taught. I'm not sure why, but this quote makes perfect sense to me. I have learned in my 18 years that the best learning experience a person can have is firsthand experience. It's true that any and all form of education is valuable, but the things that will really increase your chance of survival in this crazy world are the things you learn by yourself without the help or guidance of others. This being said, I decided that next I should share some of the things I have learned during the course of my life. The first lesson I have learned, and this is a very important one, sometimes it is a very good idea to approach tasks from a strange angle. Certain scenarios will call for quick and creative thinking, so don't be afraid to think outside of the box, even if it is frowned upon. Don't get crazy though. Some things are frowned upon for a reason, and it's important to stay at least a little sensible. Something to add to this lesson is that if you absolutely must break a rule or custom, try to break only one at a time. For example, if you absolutely must smuggle illegal immigrants across the border, make sure you don't have expired license plate tags. It's always the little things that get people in trouble. This brings me to my next lesson. For some reason, people tend to get away with large-scale rule breaking, but end up getting in trouble for doing little harmless things. Has everyone here heard of Al Capone? If you haven't, he was a very famous mob boss in Chicago. He was responsible for many terrible crimes such as murder and bank robbery. The police and the FBI tried for years to arrest him, but he always had a strong alibi. The FBI was getting desperate and needed a way to get this terrible person off the streets, so they decided to look into his personal information. This information held the key to arresting Al Capone. He was finally brought in for 23 counts of tax evasion. This seems ridiculous that he could get away with murder, but couldn't even get away with this. This just proves my point. People always get caught for doing the little things. My next piece of wisdom is something many of you have probably already learned. Keep good relations with your friends and your family. There is no point in being bitter towards anyone. We are all on this earth for such a short period of time, we need to take advantage of our time and not waste it being upset or arguing. It is also important to remember that if you are ever in need of an organ transplant or a blood transfusion, it will more than likely come from your family, so make sure that they really, really like you. Also, keep your friends happy with you, especially if they share your blood type, and if they don't, get better friends. I'm just kidding. I swear. The next lesson I've learned is don't be afraid to act grown up and clean yourself up. This is mainly aimed at Isaac, Landon, Derek, Gatros, and Pinky. I myself have enjoyed being grungy and unshaven for most of the year. I'm honestly just trying to get it out of my system before I get out into the real world. I know that when I get a real job, I will have to be clean shaven every single day, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm really dreading it. To combat this feeling of dread, I know that me and many of my classmates have decided to let our facial hair grow. I strongly encourage this manly activity, but I also want you all to realize that there will be a time to become smooth and clean. My last piece of advice to offer to you all today is to embrace change. Change is the only thing a person can count on to be constantly happening. We as a class have experienced a tremendous amount of change in our senior year alone. A new principal, the loss of old teachers, the gain of new ones. We've had to just roll with all the change and accept it as a positive factor. I feel that this change has allowed us to fully grow and rely on one another as a class. Since all the teachers we were expecting to help us out were suddenly gone, we had to find new sources of strength and guidance. Change is not always a positive thing, but in the case of our school, I feel it has made us stronger. Today I present a change that will instantly increase the happiness in the world. Joey, I'm going to take a moment for the rat tail ceremony.
Oh, yes.
The world is now a much better and happier place. As I bring this speech to a close, I would like to say that I am proud of every one of my fellow seniors. I feel that we as a class have personified what it means to have true Senator pride. We may not be the most classy or the most sophisticated, but I can say without a doubt that we are the most interesting. To my sensational senior class, thank you for every memory and every day. This was the best school year of my life, and I owe it all to you guys. Good luck to every one of you.
All right, seniors, join me in turning the tassel from left to right to signify the passage from student to graduate. Congratulations.
I remember the first time I walked through the doors here at West Washington. It was the first day of kindergarten, and I was so excited. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, got dressed, got my backpack, and went to the side of my parents' bed. I said, "Mommy, wake up, it's time to go to school." I was then, of course, sent back to bed, seeing that was nowhere near time for school. I now look back at that moment in my life and wonder, why was I so excited? I guess then I didn't realize school would turn into more than just coloring pictures, nap time, and covering my hands with glue, waiting for it to dry, and then peeling it back off again. I didn't realize then that the place would soon occupy most of my life. But now, after being here for 13 years, I have realized that this place, even though at times was the most hated place in the world, was also the place I grew up. It's the place where our class grew so close. It's the place where we got to witness some of the greatest moments in our life, and the place where memories were made. I can't even remember how many times my classmates and I have said, "We can't wait to get out of this place." Well, guys, congratulations, we made it. It's finally our time to graduate. When we walk out these doors tonight, we are no longer students at West Washington. To me, this is somewhat scary, for my classmates have been my closest friends since I started here. I'm close to all my classmates, and leaving this place means leaving my friends as well. Even though we have waited for this day so long, it is still overwhelming to know that from this day on, we are out in the world on our own. As most of us know, the class of 2011 is not filled with normal and ordinary kids. Our class is a very goofy and unique group. Our class is fun to be around, and most of the time, most of them can make you smile no matter how bad your day's been. So now that we are moving on and beginning a new chapter in our lives, we will have to try to find new friends that can deal with our silly jokes and crazy personalities. We have to find people to somewhat try to replace the friendships we've been building for 13 years. As we leave tonight and walk out these doors for the last time as students at West Washington, just remember all the great times we've had together as a class, and never forget the friendships we've made with both our fellow classmates and teachers. Congratulations, class of 2011. We finally did it. Good luck.